Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. The question for the first episode is, what advice would you give beginner artists and what should they focus on at the beginning of their art journey? Thank you so much and I hope you enjoy the video.
Hey guys, this is director Mohammed Saeed Harib, and I am from Dubai actually, and my profession is directing, mainly cartoons, but for some reason I branched out to theater and to movie making, live action movie making, and I was asked to give my advice for those who are starting, and I know there are many people who are aspiring to become great artists and great people in their fields, and it's very hard to give one advice, so I might give a few because I was restricted also with time. I have to fill 2 minutes or 3 minutes of this video. It's not an easy journey. It's not a journey that is filled with positive transactions, but you have to keep the course. It's very important for you to understand that you're on a journey that is embracing uniqueness. It's a journey that everything is against you because you're swimming against the stream and you're like thinking out of the box. So it's usually these kind of people who are very challenged. These are the kind of people who are rarely believed. Everyone has great ideas, even like liars and lawyers. They have big ideas and big imaginations, but how can you make a difference? And it's not because you are great in an application like Photoshop or Illustrator or Premiere or After Effects, or your camera, or your lenses, or it's about your soul. It's how you translate this into something that people can understand. And we are in the business, I am in the business of entertainment, so it's our job is to make always people happy and entertained, and it takes a team, a brilliant team actually, to believe in you and believe in your vision and believe in what you do. Of course, this cannot happen from day one. What you need to, I think the most person you need to make trust and believe in your own talent is yourself. Some people begin to become very arrogant and cocky about their own beliefs that they cannot listen to anyone else. Some people are so weak that they cannot even present themselves. You need to be somewhere in between. You need to be somewhere where you can believe in yourself so much that you can articulate your ideas in a way that is not offending anyone. And you need to be vocal enough so your fears do not come through. If you do that and keep doing that, there is no guarantee that you will gain success. You need, the stars to align, and you need things to be going your way. But all I can say is always believe in yourself, always develop your skills, support yourself with people who are willing to be creative with you. And in the end of the day, I think you are in a better place than we are when we started, because we did not have the internet or social media at our use. So use it wisely. You have a great, I think we are in a great time for talented people to shine. But that means more competition, more people that can, threaten you, but that can elevate your own creativity. So that's my 2 cents about what I think can work, and I hope this was useful. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Nils, and I work as senior artist at Paradox Development Studio. I worked in the industry for around 11 years now, and during that time I tried many different aspects of game art, but right now I'm focusing on character art. So my advice to someone who's starting out would be first to find a school and get an education. While that's not usually a requirement to get a job, I think it helps in providing you an environment and a structure to learn. It will also give you an opportunity to meet like-minded people that you can get inspired by, and you can help motivate each other. Sometimes in school an assignment might seem dull. In those cases I would advise you to see if you can find a different angle or a more creative approach to doing it, which inspires you more. because after all, the school is about, it's for you, and you're not doing it for someone else. Another advice I would like to give is to build good habits around doing art. I know a lot of artists struggle with finding motivation to put in the hours it takes to improve. And something that's worked for me in the past is to try and just find 15 or 30 minutes every day that you sit down and work on something. And you don't have to focus a lot on progress and results at this point. Just try to focus on sitting down and doing something, and the results will come eventually. It's about building good habits. So what should you be focusing on? In my opinion, it's never a bad thing to have a broad skill set. So if you are interested in several areas, I think you should explore all of them. However, it might be too much to handle trying to do it all at once, so I would advise you to focus on one thing at a time. But everything you learn, even if it's not necessarily related to what you're doing, it's gonna help your improvement as an artist overall. Another useful tool I would like to advise is doing studies. This is one of the best ways to learn, in my opinion. And you can do studies from real life or from photos or even from other artworks. A lot of beginning artists seem to have the idea that using references and doing studies is somehow a little bit cheating. I don't agree at all. I think studies are a very important tool that every professional artist uses, and you should as well. Once you get your first job, it's easy to feel a lot of pressure and like you have a lot to prove. My advice there would be to go into it with an open mind and a humble attitude. No one is gonna expect you to know everything. So don't be afraid to ask questions and to learn from your co-workers, as they are gonna have more experience than you do. And I think that's it from me, so take care and good luck.
So the big piece of advice I would give to people starting out is kind of a counterpoint to the sentiment that you have to work super hard to get into this industry. And while that's true to an extent, I think it's often overemphasized and overwrought. There's a big culture in this industry of working to the point of exhaustion, to the exclusion of sleep, friends, exercise, eating properly, stuff like draw or die, or really exceptional individuals who can work 14-hour days, which is completely beyond the scope of most people. I know it's completely beyond my abilities. I can't do anything for 14 hours straight, let alone something as intensive and creative and focused as concept art or illustration. So I would say that you can take a step back. It's okay. You don't have to be constantly pushing yourself and making yourself feel terrible for taking a break. It's okay to be unproductive every now and again. It's okay to just sit on your backside doing nothing. It's fine. That being said, I think there are some legitimate sacrifices that you will probably need to make if you want to get into this industry. So if you are playing League for 10 hours a day on the weekends when you could be doing studies or researching schools that you might want to go to, or getting familiar with your tools or new workflows, that's probably not very useful, and you're probably going to want to cut that back. But I don't think that's particularly unusual for any kind of work-life balance, with any career, with any pursuit in which you're trying to be as good as you can. You want to be doing some stuff that's productive as much as possible. But really, I think you need to sort of figure out if the sacrifices you're making are worth it, and if this career that you have chosen is going to make you happier than all the stuff that you're giving up, right? So if you're giving up spending time with friends on the weekend so that you can sit in the dark and draw, is that really going to make you happier than hanging out with your buddies and making memories? Or about exercising or sleeping properly, as I said before. You've got to make sure that you're not brutalizing yourself. It's not draw or die, it's draw to live, really. But essentially what I'm talking about is a work-life balance. So try not to do stuff that makes you fall out of love with your career. Don't sit in front of the computer until you don't enjoy it anymore. do stuff outside of work, but make sure you're doing stuff art-wise that you do really like. So that's lots of personal projects. Maybe it's just drawing silly memes. Like the other day I did a drawing of my dog as a wizard because my sister pointed it out and it was funny. I don't think this job should be a grind, in my opinion, or this career and this pursuit should be a grind. There are plenty of other professions where you could earn a hell of a lot more money grinding all day, being bloody miserable. So make sure you're enjoying yourself, make sure the sacrifices you're making are worth it, and try to have as much fun as possible.
Beginner artists, the very first thing that I would recommend you to learn is how to approach art as a research subject. Because that's what I remember most from when I started out, and what I see most commonly is that, you know, we tend to spend hours and hours on one single piece and it's going to look perfect. And this kind of approach works very well when it comes to creating single art pieces, but it doesn't really translate very well into studying, because when you study art, it's more about failing, you know, and learning, and repeating one single task many times until not that you have a good looking result, but that you understand. And I think this is a difficult kind of workflow for beginners to grasp, because we haven't really gotten this validation yet to be seen as real artists. And there's this kind of idea that, you know, an artist's value is directly linked to the quality of art that you produce. And while this is very much true, it shouldn't be a pressure that we put on beginners, because your job right now is just to study, right? This should only really be applied to, you know, a working professional or to yourself when you have assembled a portfolio and you're up for a validation in order to, you know, apply for art school or a job. Because this is the thing, that when studying, you are investing just as much time and effort into your personal development as any professional out there on a daily basis. And this is very important, because if you can acknowledge that, you know, you should feel proud of yourself and for the work that you're doing, even if the quality doesn't really match that of a professional yet. And that's simply because the professional has done this for longer than you. And I mean, I have an example here, like this is my sketchbook. I didn't feel comfortable drawing with ink pen, so I just sat down and did practices, and this is me trying to render spheres. And you know, the first one I did didn't look good, and the second I did didn't look good either. But I would highly recommend having one of these sketchbooks where you can just do ugly things, because even if I don't really have a single piece of art in this sketchbook that is necessarily pretty, the amount of work that this led to is that I'm now much more technical skilled as an artist, so I'm very much proud of myself for doing this. And this is how you should approach your studies as well. So if you don't remember anything else, you know, what I need you to understand is that you have one approach for how you make your artistic art, the art that keeps you creative and inspired and motivated. And you shouldn't stop doing this. It's just that the art that you're producing for study purposes need a different approach, and this is where you are developing skills. And you should learn to love and appreciate both of these, and understand that the result that you're going to get out of these two are going to look different, but they are going to help you in different ways.
One of the mistakes that I was making when I first started in art was that I would draw a lot from imagination and very little from observation. and even when I do draw from observation, I wouldn't be really focusing on anything. I wouldn't really, I'm just copying. I don't know what I'm really doing, and I don't know exactly what I'm gaining from drawing from observation. Like that's to top doing it very little. So I would advise anyone starting to try to learn the basics. Try, like if you're going for character design, for concept art, which is what I do. So I would advise you learn all these things, like anatomy, how to like gesture, so you can tell a story with a pose, and like anything that could help improve your character. Basically, you can study also just like other cultures, outfits. You can do any kinds of studies, but doing it with intent and really knowing what you're trying to gain from that session of study helps a lot. So you want to get this over with early, so that when you're hired by a company to work on a project, basically, you can focus then on the design itself, the ideas themselves, and not waste any time when you're drawing to get a hand to look right, or get a muscle to look right. If you have all that figured out earlier, it makes your life much more easier when you're actually working for a company full-time or freelancing or whatever you're doing. Like I said, when you study, you want to study with intent, and you want to study, you want to know what you're trying to get from that study session. If I'm doing gestures, I'm trying, for instance, I can either do it because I want to get faster, so I'm gonna focus on doing it like capturing a pose with the minimal amount of lines, and try to think of each line for like a second or two before I lay it down. Maybe I can do a little bit more elaborate gesture drawings, just slightly, because like gesture like it has to be something. It shouldn't be like too elaborate. Like you shouldn't get into rendering, for instance. But you wanna, I want, for instance, to focus on really selling the emotion, and get the pose to tell that story or emotion. I can just focus on how to get this from a study session. See, like from the same thing, you can study different things. Basically, from the same practice, you can study different things. So you just want to know what you're studying, and really think as you're doing it, and then apply it in your own work. Like it's often best when after doing a study session to do something personal, like while the information is fresh. I think a different thing is it's good when you're starting out to have a goal. But not necessarily when you're starting out, but like to define a goal at some point for yourself. It might help you figure out the road that you want to take. For me, it was much easier to know what I want to do and how to do it when I set a goal for the company I want to work for. And from there, I just have to, try to understand their style, the style that they use on their projects or project. I can just talk to artists from that company and try to get some more info on how to reach that style, on how to reach that quality of work that they want. and maybe figure out how to meet them in person. It's even better. And do projects of my own that show them that I can do, you know, the work they do, like with a very good quality, with a quality that they can accept, and show them that I understand their needs. For example, I can show them that I can do a design from A to Z, and I can, you know, keep in mind the other aspects of the game, the gameplay, the sound effects, the VFX, and all these other things that you know create a full character that you experience in the game. So basically, just figure out where you want to go, what you want to do. You want to freelance from home, you want to work for a specific company, you want to do your own projects, see what other people did, how they reached that goal, and then don't feel like you have to follow that exact same path, because each person has different circumstances, and you're different, you're from a different background, location, like you're not that other person. So just figure it out on your own as you go, basically. With each step, see what's gonna help you reach that specific goal that's clear in your head, and you can definitely reach it if you work for it, and if you just spend time thinking of how to reach it, and not beat yourself up about like, oh no, I'm not good enough, I'm not gonna reach it ever. So yeah, just do it basically and figure it out, and you're gonna reach it for sure.
So some advice that could help beginners would be: 1, keep doing stuff, keep producing stuff. You can only build and get better by doing things. So even if it's shit one day, it's shit another day, it will get better. It will be good at some point and you will be proud of it. But you have to keep doing, you have to keep producing, you have to keep building it. Our second point would be, don't skip basics, because you can have the best rendering in the world. If you don't know anatomy, there will always be something wrong, and if someone knows a little bit of drawing, they would be able to spot it right away. You always look up to amazing artists and the tip top of the mountain, but don't forget that there's always people behind you too, that when you feel like you're not good and you could do better, some people, you already passed some people, you already are better than people who never tried drawing. So keep that in mind. It's not because you're not at the level of the 1% that it means you can't make it. There's enough space for everyone to live. And last, the last point is, it's fine to do fan art. It's fine to do something that you like, that you reproduce a style, a character, something that already exists. It's actually, the more you do that, the bigger your library of in your head will be, so the more you can draw from to get your own style. So do fan art, do things you like, do things you love, and that will keep you motivated.
I hope the video was helpful and you got something out of it. If you have any suggestions for upcoming videos and other questions, please write them down in the comments. And if you want to be part of the next video, also you can write it down in the comments, or you can reach me or DM me on Instagram. I'd be happy to include you. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.